combine small town roots with business savvy, and you've got the Rural Rundown podcast. We're sharing our marketing and branding strategies, tips, and tricks that rural businesses can use to educate, inspire, and entertain their customers, and to help you make sales and hit profit goals. So what does it take to go from your mom is your only fan to famous in a small town? Tune in and listen up as we feature business owners and organizations that are doing big things in their community and creating opportunities for generations to come. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Rural Rundown podcast with your hosts, Brenna Ramsden, Rachel Eikens. Rachel, it's been a while since we've kind of chatted. We've had a few weeks off from the episodes that we've been doing. How are things going for you?
Good. Things are going well. We're praying for rain over here in Minnesota and probably kind of everywhere. It's been a little droughty, so those crops need a little drink.
Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin right now, and it has rained today again. I think we've had, where we are, Southwest Wisconsin, we've had about 5 inches in the last week. So thankfully, the rain is from here because they were in desperate need for it as well.
Yeah, hopefully it heads our way soon, but yeah. How long will you be in Wisconsin for?
Well, hopefully not too much longer because I've been away from Phoenix for 1 whole month today, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm ready to get back to the desert.
I bet you are. I love it. Okay, well, I have a little surprise to share with you because I think it fits right into our episode today. Guess what I had for lunch?
Oh, tell me. We had broths. What did you have?
Had pork chops.
Oh, how fitting for today's episode guest. We had on Adam Krause. He is from Clear Lake, South Dakota, and he and his family are pork producers.
That is just, what are the odds?
And today's episode, we talk a lot about kind of putting yourself out there, getting out on social media. We talk a little bit about pork producing and pig farming and what that looks like. Rachel, what was your favorite part of today's episode?
So, Brenna, you had asked Adam a really good question about what it was like working with family and, in an agricultural type of operation. And I really, really loved his dad's advice, which he shares in the podcast. I'm not going to spoil it, so you got to listen to hear what he said. But I thought that was a really good takeaway. What was your favorite part?
That was a good part, actually. I love that you brought that up because I'd heard that, obviously thought it was a good thing, but yeah, Adam's dad's advice is probably good advice for anybody on the family farm. My favorite takeaway from this was probably talking a little bit about Adam's social media presence and why he's on social media and how he kind of got there in the first place. I've known Adam since college. We all went to South Dakota State, so you get a little bit of fun SDSU Brookings reminiscing going on in this episode as well. So it's all been a good episode, and it was just such a good chat. So definitely you're going to want to keep listening to this one.
All right, let's dive in.
Super excited that you took the time to chat with us today, and we're really looking forward to the conversation. So first of all, can you just start off telling our listeners a little bit about where you're located and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Adam Krause. I live in Clear Lake, South Dakota. Graduated from high school 2012, went to South Dakota State University for 4 great years and graduated in 2016 with an ag business major and minors in animal science and economics. And then from there, that immediate summer, built a nursery barn, and it can hold 4,000 head, and had my first group of pigs in there on September 1st of 2016 and haven't looked back since. So since then, done a few different things, just family farming at its finest, working with my dad and my brother. Most days it's kind of fun because we all have our little entities, but when it comes to busy seasons of planting and harvest, it's kind of all hands on deck, and we're able to help each other out when and where needed on weekends, or if we have to go to weddings and things like that. So it's a great life. Can't complain one bit. And I guess I got to really thank my wife, Taylor, and I've got a little 9-month-old too. So she's off for the summer and spending a lot of time with him. So thanks to her for attempting to keep up with me, I guess.
Now, I love that you're in Clear Lake, South Dakota, because I think a lot of people's what they think of when they think of South Dakota is like Mount Rushmore and the Badlands and a lot of West River stuff. So maybe talk to us a little bit about the pork industry, East River, or in the state of South Dakota in general.
Yeah, so on that, I have to say Clear Lake, South Dakota, because I'm pretty sure there's a Clear Lake, maybe 2 Clear Lakes in all 50 states. But yeah, so when I say Clear Lake, South Dakota, I'm about as east as it gets. I'm probably within 20 minutes of the Minnesota border, not real far away from Canby. That's about a 25-30 minute drive for us. So yeah, but Eastern South Dakota and Western South Dakota, we got really immersed in that argument and conversation at South Dakota State as well. But yeah, a lot of differences, a lot of contrasts, East River versus West River. But there's a few rolling hills and several cow-calf operations here. It's just a different management style and different type of agriculture, I guess you could say.
Did you kind of know that you were going to go into like agriculture and go back to Clear Lake? Like, did you always know that was in the plan for you?
That was always in the plan. The plan changed. I mean, from a senior in high school to probably a junior in college, my plan changed several times. I guess my major never really changed, but my plan changed quite a bit. Probably sophomore of my college year, it started becoming a little more real that timing wise, it was going to work out really nicely that, hey, I should build a barn right away. Originally, what I wanted to do was get a job in ag finance, ideally fairly close to home, so I could, still help out in the busy seasons and stay involved and learn as I go, sort of thing. But yeah, like I said, plans changed, and the path I went down, I some days you think, I mean, like anyone would, what if? But I've got no regrets to this day. I really don't.
Talk to me a little bit about, because you said you're an ag business, for people who are just going to school and they're kind of in the same boat as you, where they want to come back to the family farm, or even if they don't have a family farm, but that's what they want to do, is have a job in agriculture on the side of like the day-to-day work. How has that degree helped you, or is there something else that you would have majored in?
That's a good question. I'm kind of twofold on this one, I guess. I really like the ag business major because it was, what is it, Brenna, 120 credits to graduate. And I think 20 of those I could pick as electives. So I got to cherry pick, a lot of animal science classes, a couple agronomy classes, and just kind of fill my interests and become more well-rounded in agriculture, I guess. And thought, as it's kind of fun to think about, okay, if you're going home, or what career do I want to do, and what classes can I cherry pick to make the most sense to better market myself. But at the same time, there's more classes I wish I could have cherry picked, or I should have. Like one that sticks out to me that everybody recommended and it didn't work because those electives are fun, but then you've got those pesky requirements that you've got to fill. And one contradicted with personal selling. I can't remember who taught that class, but if you're going to SDSU, I highly recommend personal selling. I've never taken the class, but every single person I talked to recommended it for me, and I couldn't quite get her done. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, so selecting the classes and especially my thought is, I mean, you need 120 credits to graduate, but going above and beyond, I don't think is out of the question either. I mean, everybody is going to have a couple more than that, it seems like, when they get their diploma. So
I think I took that personal selling class you're talking about.
I figured one of you guys had to.
Yeah, the professor was really good, and I wish I remembered his name. But yeah, that was a good class.
It sounds like an interesting class. It's interesting what you said about like cherry picking some of those classes. When I started school, I told myself I was never going to take a dirt class because, like, who wants to go and sit and learn about dirt? But I took it was just like a 101 level like soils class, and it's helped me in my journalism career because I've written a lot of stories and interviewed a lot of people about soil health and different practices that they're using on their places. And it's like, well, I kind of understand what's going on, and, you know, makes me more curious because I know what's happening a little bit. So you never really know where some of those classes are going to take you or what they're going to offer you later on. And I think it's hard when we're that young to think about what we're gonna know and what we're gonna need to know when we get out. So it's always interesting to hear what people say. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about working with your dad and your brother, and now you have a little boy, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So working with family and then thinking about maybe someday passing this along to your son. Talk to us a little bit about what that feels like.
Oh man, if working with family, it's a lot of fun. It's nothing but sunshine and rainbows each and every day. I mean, we never argue about anything.
Yep.
All you listeners, I was just warning these guys. My dad and our employee is actually outside building a grain bin, so I got to get back there, and I'll probably catch a little bit of flack for being on a podcast when I go out there, but that's no biggie. No, it's a different dynamic, and I can't say it's like family farming is like any business because I don't know, but I can imagine whether you're in agriculture or not, or not in agriculture, if you're in a family business, it puts a little bit of strain on your relationships with your family because you have to wear different hats through different portions of the day. So like, for example, we'll be working on stuff in the morning and maybe get after each other here and there. But then at noon or maybe in the evening when we go out to eat, or my mom still brings dinner to the farm every day and feeds us all, you know, we need to be able to sit around the table and have, you know, kind of mix those conversations. Are they business conversations? Are they family conversations? Hayes, my little boy, kind of makes that a little easier because he's starting to babble a little bit. So that's a lot of fun during noontime to see grandma and grandpa, you know, taking a break from the farm and getting time to be grandma and grandpa during the day. But yeah, I'm a little too broad on that question for you, Brenna. Anything specifically you're looking for? Or?
No, I think that's exactly it. Just kind of sharing with people, you know, what it looks like to be on the day to day. And I haven't actually heard anybody answer it that way, about like sitting around the table and having those different conversations. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that story, I have to just tell a quick one because you're talking about your little boy, and he's always been cute, I'm sure, but like he's talking and they get more personality as they get older. And sometimes I'll like bring my son around when I know like a situation needs to like be diffused, because like nobody can be yelling at each other when like a cute little kid's around. Like it was transformative when I like raised him up, and my dad-in-law is like, oh, like his demeanor just changed, and I'm like, I got this. Secret weapon.
That's an excellent pro tip. I will definitely
Yep.
Adam is now bringing his son to business meetings.
all the time. No, some days it's really, really easy and a lot of fun, and some days it's really, really hard. But at the end of the day, I guess the best advice my dad ever told me was, when it comes to family farming, you can't keep score. Like, somebody's gone for a weekend during harvest because they have a wedding and a good family friend, and you just got to let it go when you can't keep score. And they might have 3 in a row. I mean, you don't know, but life happens. And we just all have to be willing to help each other out. And it's a family farm. And if everybody's heads on straight, which we were all raised fairly similar, it should be, it'll all come out in the wash at the end of the day. So that's probably the best advice I ever got from my dad was don't keep score.
So hog operations work a little bit differently than, you know, grain or cattle marketing. So for people who don't really know how that works, maybe talk to us a little bit about how marketing pigs looks differently than marketing grain or marketing cattle, and trying to sell that way.
Sure. So I guess the biggest difference for me is, I guess, and I'll be honest, I'm still just a contract grower. I don't have any ownership in hogs, but my dad is a part owner in an entity that we both feed for. So he's kind of on both ends. He's drawing a yardage check, but then still going to marketing meetings and having discussions with brokers and things like that. So and I get to tag along, or if we're in the pickup going somewhere, I get to listen in on those conversations too. And it's similar to the cattle, and in the fact that for me it's different because you have to not only hedge your grain side of things and look at markets and spreads that way, but the grains, you're on the opposite ends. You're buying the grain instead of selling the grain, and then doing a crush basically against your lean hog futures. So that was interesting for me to hear those conversations on how all that spread, and keeping your input costs down, but also looking into the future to look at how that crushes out, I guess. But from a marketing perspective, I'd say it's actually fairly similar to cattle, just because we're looking at different packer options. Where are we going to haul to? A lot of that is not even so much radius, but just availability of shackle space. That's been a big one ever since COVID. It's just been a little more of a spotlight now. But probably the main thing is just how they cut. So I'll give you an example. Every few years we take a few loads to a few different packing plants, and where they cut the best, yeah, you're going extra miles, but if the profit's on your side, it's worth it. So for example, I'm in Clear Lake, South Dakota, central eastern South Dakota. We go down I-29 past John Morrell's in Worthington, past John Morrell's in Sioux Falls, past JBS in Worthington, all the way to Storm Lake, Iowa, to the Tyson plant, just because that's where they're cutting better, and that's where we're receiving a little bit better profit, better premium. So yeah, it makes sense to do so like that. I'm not sure if cattle are similar or the same way, but yeah, the first time I heard that, I think I was in high school, and I thought, why on earth? That doesn't make sense. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's just different packers that specialize in different things. They've all got different specs from their different buyers. So yeah, in a roundabout way, it all gets to the consumers correctly.
And you've been pretty active in the pork board. Maybe talk to us about why it's important to get involved in organizations like that, and how you've seen it help your operation, or maybe even just how it's helped you personally.
I love that question, Brenna, because I've been approached by several people actually telling me, like, so how come you're so involved? You're just a contract grower. Or my favorite is a gentleman from Iowa. His name is Leon Sheets, and he kind of sarcastically smiles and just will make a good point about something and say, but I'm just a pig farmer, and it's kind of he says it sarcastically, but I think it's a lot of people's mentality, whether they're, cattle ranchers or pig farmers or crop farmers. We're not just farmers, we're agriculturists, we're businessmen, men and women, and we have a very certain skill set, and in my mind, a lot of different skill sets. So that being said, I guess the reason I like to promote pork is because at the end of the day, yeah, it doesn't directly affect my bottom line, because as a contract grower, my monthly check stays the same no matter what. But if people all of a sudden stop eating pork, or I'm not advocating for exports, because a third of the pork in this nation is exported, and I'm not advocating for that, then all of a sudden we can't export pork. We aren't getting our free trade agreements. We have an oversupply of pork here in the United States, and we're stuck with it. The prices go down, and then all of a sudden, the person I contract for isn't able to make my yardage payments. So it affects me indirectly, but it's still in a cause and effect manner. So that, and I think pork is a really nutritious product. I got to be careful with you two young ladies, because I know you're pretty pro beef, but I do quite a bit of beef too myself. But yeah, I guess the main thing is, if you're not going to promote the product you raise, whether it affects your bottom line or not, why are you raising it? Is my main point. But I guess secondly, me getting involved has led to so many opportunities that I can't even begin to describe. Been to a few foreign countries, um, freebies and different things like that. Got to know so many people and learn from so many people. Just grateful for the different opportunities and attributes along the way.
I have one thing to say first. I had pork chops right before we had this call, so I support pork too. And then secondly, I don't know if this question will apply or not, but I wanted to pick your brain on it because I know you're in the pork industry. So I used to work with a client that was kind of in like nutritional hydration side of the agriculture sphere. So they did like cattle and pigs and all types of animals. But when they were trying to get producers to like share and go to their farms, like pork people like did not want to talk about what they were doing or were kind of weird about sharing anything. Is that normal, or would you say that was just like a certain experience I had? I'm just curious, is it harder that you see people in the pork industry want to actually share about their businesses and kind of like let people in on what's going on? What do you think about that?
That's a tough question, but I'll say this. Some of that, depending on, and I don't know, and you don't have to tell me, Rachel, if they're actual owners of those pigs or contract growers like myself. Certain contract growers have very, very stringent guidelines on who they can and cannot let into their barn.
Yeah.
So that might be one issue. But another one, I think we're just kind of private people. I'm not talking just about pig farmers. I'm talking about cattlemen and agriculturists alike, just people poking around places that, maybe you feel more as private to your property, which is fine to keep those guards up. But I'll tell you this, if someone wanted to come to my barn unannounced, I'd be a little shaky too. Kind of want to look through things and make sure I had things clean up and respectable, just like you would anybody driving up on your farmyard or to your house. I mean, going like my wife when she goes mega mom mode and has to clean up everything before we have company over, something like that. But and that's one thing I've started doing. I've tried to do a lot of is at the same time trying to respect biosecurity and standards that way, inviting people and showing them this is what I do and this is why I enjoy what I do, because I get to raise pigs each and every day. I mean, I don't name them all, but there's certain ones you start to pick out, and you start to know different pens and performance attributes with each one and different things like that. So yeah, as agriculturists, I think we're shy people, we're humble people, but at the same time, there's a lot of, if we're trying to spread positivity, but there's just as much negativity. But it seems like sometimes the negativity is louder. So sometimes we just need to open the doors and straight up show people what's going on within the barn.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to my next question for you. When you think of the pork industry as a whole, what do you think like is going right? Like what should we be talking about more, or what can be done to kind of like, go forward?
So I don't have it in front of me, but Pork Board has done a huge study on carbon lately because, greenhouse gases, the Green New Deal, cow farts are going to make the planet go up in smoke, different things like that have been very much in the media lately. So as farmers, as pig farmers and agriculturists all alike, we're kind of getting into, hey, this is really what we're producing every year. And I think don't quote me on any of these statistics or percentages, but probably in the last 30 to 50 years, I think we've cut down land use by like 50 or 60%. Water use, I think, has been cut in half. Like crazy amounts like that I can't even fathom and think about, because I mean, a pig still drinks a lot of water in a day, but I think they're attributing that also to land use and crop use as well. I mean, our genetics, not only in crops, but in pigs as well, have gotten so great and so efficient. And I mean, the pig is just robust and a crazy cool creature, and cattle are just alike, So it's hard for me to wrap my head around all that sometimes. But yeah, that's probably the main thing I see is we're starting to be better at telling our story and actually putting numbers on certain things that can really plead our case.
The technology that we use now too, or different management practices, it's been crazy to watch change even just in my short time of being here and like, handling livestock, doing different things like that. We always raise show pigs, each year. So I know just the smallest part about pigs. And when I lived in Norway, I lived with a family who raised pigs in a two-story barn. And I'm like, this is crazy to see pigs be on different levels. And the whole thing is just, it's very cool to see how we're able to take new technologies, new practices, and put them to work for us. So I think that's also something to touch on. I feel like I could take this conversation like three different ways. I love when you're talking about biosecurity, and for some people, I think hog operations do the best job ever at biosecurity practices and putting those practices into place on our operations. So it's a little harder to bring people in and show people what's going on. But Adam, I think you do an excellent job of doing that on social media, bringing people in with your Snapchat stories, Instagram stories, and just saying like, hey, this is what we're doing today, and this is what's going on. Tell us a little bit about why you choose to put that stuff out there.
I guess the short answer is because I want people to be able to see that. Like I said before, biosecurity and sometimes people getting to a farm and coordinating schedules and things, it's a difficult thing to do. But now through, Operation Main Street, the South Dakota State University swine unit, they're doing all sorts of tours over the internet and things like that. And COVID really actually, that was one of the benefits of COVID, was able to spur us forward on that and still be able to reach out to different people and different consumers and show off why we do what we do in the barn. But I guess I don't really quite well, I guess I do remember kind of where it started. I won an award within National Pork Board and got to do some media training, much like, it was probably just a walk in the park for you ladies who do it each and every day. But it really opened my eyes to different ways and different modes to show different consumers what you do each and every day. Like, not necessarily, shield your negative spots, but to explain why we do what we do in a manner that the consumer would say, okay, I get it. That's not pretty. In every industry, there's things that definitely aren't pretty. But there's a reason we do them, and this is why. And that was something that that I really benefited from and really appreciated from.
And something you've stayed really consistent with is your Krause Cooking Show, which I love. And tell me, why Snapchat? Why is that your medium that you use? And maybe explain to some of the listeners what the Krause Cooking Show entails.
Sure. So I'll start with the easy one there, Brenna. The Krause Cooking Show was something that I just kind of randomly started one Sunday afternoon. I was just had a little bit of liquid courage in me, to be honest, trying to make my wife laugh. And she said, you should put this on Snapchat. And my smart comment was, fine, I will. And a couple people swiped up and said, oh my gosh, this is great. When the next one. And I thought, I might legit have something here. But so I guess the reason I do Snapchat is it was the app I was most comfortable with. I grew up with Facebook in college, and then Snapchat kind of really got big probably around my sophomore, junior year. And then Instagram kind of started, and I probably should be on Instagram. You ladies tell me one way or another. A lot of people have told me I need to make that jump, but I'm just not as comfortable with it. But then also somebody else asked me, why aren't you on YouTube? And I think the YouTube audience is just a really different set of viewers, I guess. For you to be on YouTube, you legitimately have to sit down, look through your either subscriptions or search me out and be able to sit down and watch a 10 to 20 minute video. Where Snapchat, you accidentally see me or accidentally see me on different people's stories and then can tune in that way. So that's, I guess, my sort of deal too. And then somebody else asked me, why don't you just make a Krause Cooking channel? And that's another two answers. One, because I'm lazy, but two, I kind of think I still want to keep it under my own handle, A Krause 78, because I'm not just doing cooking on that. I'm also, doing life things, showing Hayes around the farm, going to a wedding with my wife on a weekend, saying, holy cow, we got a barn alarm at 4:00 in the morning. This is no fun. Or helping loading out butcher pigs at 6 a.m. Different things like that. It's not just cooking. It's another way to expose people to farm life if they're not familiar with it, I guess.
Absolutely. I definitely think you should make the jump to Instagram. I think you would find it very similar to Snapchat, but I've seen friends of mine, my sister is one of them, like will screenshot your Krause Cooking Show, and there's no way that she would have like known of you besides me maybe doing it once or twice, because you give away swag at the end. Like that's the other cool part, is that you get people involved with it.
Yep, definitely. And that was something, Instagram, it's a lot easier. There we go. Maybe I should make the jumps to Instagram, Brennan. Instagram is so much easier to gain followers, I think, just because I guess it's more open for people doing that. It's kind of hard to share, for one person to share your profile on Snapchat, because there's no news feed on Snapchat.
Yeah.
So I kind of brainstormed that up one day and thought, how can I make people start sharing and seeing my stuff? And then it just dawned on me, free stuff. I was fresh out of college. Who doesn't like free stuff, So
people always love free stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pork Producers Council helped me out with some stuff, and ever since then I've done a lot of different companies. People promoting bull sales in March and April. That's always a fun one. Cooked a steak on the ice when I went ice fishing for Brady Wolf's bull sale. That was a ton of fun. Did some up north outlaw stuff over rodeo weekend here in Clear Lake. That's a clothing brand, kind of promoting a lot of cowboy stuff, but a lot of outdoor way of life and things like that. So it really fit with my brand that I thought. And just different companies. And obviously I've got to vet you through the process, which isn't real strenuous, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And it's not always pork. I'm not sure that these were like approved Krause Cooking shows, but I remember one time you eating a rattlesnake, and I think you killed the rattlesnake, harvested it, like the whole process. And another time with Mr. Angus's son doing the Impossible Burger. I'm pretty sure that was not an approved Krause Cooking Show, but you guys went to Burger King and tested that out with Blaine Gepper. So just different things like that. I love what you're doing and putting stuff out there. I think that's, again, like sharing your story. What are suggestions or tips that you have for other producers to get out there and share their story in such a positive way like you're doing?
For me, it's easy because I'm having fun with it. A lot of people actually, so this past rodeo weekend was the first one I've done in quite a while, just because we've been busy spraying, working on different summer projects and things like that. But I mean, I just told somebody one day, I'll be honest, I haven't really had time, and it's not a job. It's more of a hobby right now because I'm not making money off it, which is completely fine with me, because it's still a hobby because it's fun for me. So have fun with it is the best suggestion I can have. That, and it, honestly, it's a little bit of an outlet for me to get a laugh in the day when maybe I shouldn't be laughing. So I'll give you an example. One of my friends actually did this, and they said, "Oh joy, what a blessed Monday." And then they looked outside, and there was a large feed spill from a feed bin just on the ground there. Somebody missed the spout. It happens. And he just flips the camera back to himself, and he goes, "Yep, just a blessed Monday, let me tell you." And just, being humorous and being able to laugh at your mistakes and other people's mistakes and share that with others might brighten your day, but it'll certainly brighten others as well. But then on that, I'll show something like that, or feed line issues are one that comes to mind, or a 4 a.m. barn alarm call if something's issued. It gets people curious and say, hey, what are you doing at this time of morning? Why are you doing it? What happened? And it just opens the door to engage a conversation too. And we're farmers. There's no such thing as a stupid question. We like to feel like we're experts. That's not even just farmers. That's anybody. So yeah, any questions that somebody else has, it's definitely always appreciated.
I think those are such good tips. I think having fun with whatever you're passionate about for any business owner is number one. Like that makes it easy. And then I love the way that you've partnered with other people. So you've made it more than just about you, and you've brought other people into it, which makes people want to watch. And I feel like there's so many opportunity for small businesses, for people in agriculture to do that and cross over and bring in other people from a different community to learn a little more about what you do. So I think that's just a great tips. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So we're all SDSU grads. We've been ending a lot of our episodes with some rapid fire questions. So this one is a little more like less rapid fire because we were kind of doing like either or, but just some SDSU quick questions here to end out our episode. Rach, you've got a few to start with.
Yes. What's your favorite SDSU ice cream flavor?
Ooh, cookies and cream. There it is.
Classic. Yes. Okay. Who's your favorite SDSU sports team to cheer for?
Oh man. I got to go football, mostly for tailgate. Tailgate is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. I miss tailgating. I haven't gotten to go back in a long time. That'd be fun.
Me neither.
Best bar downtown Brookings.
Rays, of course.
Yeah.
Race for days.
Okay, but then I got a caveat to this. What's the best downtown snack, like at a bar?
Oh, I'm not a big. So that's a loaded question. If we're talking legit snack, it's Ray's popcorn, just because it's right there. But if we're talking wait for your ride to go home because don't drink and drive, kids, George's Pizza. Window George's Pizza. Cannot beat it.
Yeah.
We were always partial to the gym's trail mix, bar mix, pub mix.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Oh man.
It was the best thing ever. I also have to tell you one time, I hope nobody else listens to this. I stuck my head straight into the popcorn machine at Ray's and just ate it
No.
straight in.
All the listeners, this was pre-COVID, so it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'm guessing this is probably going to be, did you live in the dorms? Do you have a favorite dorm?
Yeah, so freshman year, I lived in Young, but that was the last year of Hanson Hall. And I had a lot of friends and did a lot of homework and didn't do a lot of homework over at Hanson Hall, to be honest. So Hanson Hall was probably my favorite, even though I didn't live there.
I didn't know that you never lived there. I used to do the mail there, which would explain some things, but
Go figure.
Well, I felt like you did live in Hanson.
I was there often enough. I probably could have been, but.
Do you have a favorite? Did you participate in Hobo Days? Did you do what was that thing called?
Did you dress like a bum?
I did bum a meal one year. That was actually how I met one of my best friends. His name is Nathan McMullen, and I'm the best man in his wedding in August. So yeah, that's how I met that guy actually.
Wow.
So yep, I did do bum a meal. It was actually at Mary Christensen's house, if you guys know her.
Yeah.
So yeah, good times.
Do you have a favorite professor?
Oh, that's tough. Well, it's not as tough. I'd say Dr. Bob Toller, but he didn't really teach any swine classes. He was just the China class that we went on overseas. But otherwise, Dr. Crystal Levesque was also a really, really good professor as well.
Do you have a favorite SDSU event or happening that is always your top one?
Hobo Day Parade was always a fun one. I think I got to ride a float for Alpha Gamma Rho in it every year for 4 years, and or Little I a couple of years too. But it's just fun to wave and be there and see how many people you really do recognize in the crowd. And from going to a freshman in college where you felt like little to nobody, and then you're on the float and waving and like, man, I know all these people. I can hang in this town. So that was always a lot of fun.
Love it. That's all my SDSU questions. Brenna, do you have any others to throw in?
I don't think I have any others. I haven't been back to Brookings in a long time, so this really kind of makes me want to. My youngest cousin is from Nicollet, Minnesota, and he's going to SDSU right now. So I think we might have to plan a trip, Rach.
Yeah, a little reunion. That'd be fun.
Perfect. Well, Adam, how can people follow you or learn more about you? Where can they find you at?
Sure. So I'm on Facebook, Adam Krause, but then I'm also on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, all at the same handle, A Krause 78. So that's AKRAUSE 78.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I totally enjoyed this conversation.
I did too. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Rural Rundown podcast.
Thanks for listening. You can always find us on social media at the Rural Rundown.
And if you really liked this episode, we would totally love it if you gave us a review and gave us a little rating.
It would mean so much to us. And for more small town roots and business savvy, catch us on the next one.